Paper is the solution. Paper is for education. Paper is recyclable. Paper is sustainable. Love paper. Use paper. India celebrates Paper Day on 1st August.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good morning to our distinguished speakers and all our colleagues and our guests who have registered and who are participating in this webinar. Welcome to one and all and happy morning. At a time when specifically the traders were, puzzled about the future because, there was an apprehension about the progress or the growth in the paper industry. There was a feeling that, we were in a sunset industry and it may be difficult for us to see growth because of, digitalization and the reading habits coming down and all those things. But I think this ban on the single-use plastic is giving a new lease of life to all of us. I think it's a sunrise time for all of us. We are going to see exponential growth. That's what we believe. That's what our distinguished speakers are going to take us and tell us how the future is going to be. Thank you all for joining. With these introductory remarks, may I request our President, Mr. Deepak Mittal, to welcome one and all.
Thanks, Venkat. Dear friends, good morning and welcome to all to this FPTA Zoom webinar on single-use plastic ban and the opportunities it throws up for paper boards and molded fiber products. FPTA believes that plastic to paper could be the single biggest mega trend for the next decade or so and could push the growth rates from the traditional 6 to 7% to double digits, which could excite all of us and make India the fastest growing paper market in the world. Understand that quite a few audience is not from the trade. So just for the benefit of them, FPTA is the apex body of paper traders in India. As most of y'all may be aware, FPTA has 36 associations from across the country, and the cumulative strength of its members is above 6,000 traders. And the estimated turnover of the trade is close to 1 lakh crore. So we have with us today three very eminent, knowledgeable and experienced and senior personalities from the paper industry to give us a 360-degree view on the subject. With us today are Dr. Ashok Kumar, Executive Director, Padamji Paper Products Limited, Mr. P. N. Sridhar, DGM, Sustainable Products and Packaging, ITC Limited, PSPD, and Mr. Ved Krishna, the Strategy Head at Yash Pakka. I welcome all of y'all, sir, and my sincerest thanks for taking time out on a Sunday morning to educate and enlighten our members. The registration response to this webinar has been overwhelming, which goes to show the level of interest on the subject. We can notice the drainage system around us has choked and overflowing because of plastics. Our rivers flowing with plastic waste and sea throwing back tons of waste plastics on the beaches. Over the years, with increased usage of plastics and that too single-use plastic, the harm to the environment has increased multifold. In line with the clarion call given by our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to phase out single-use plastic items by 2022, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India notified the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules 2021 on 12th August 21 for it to become a law with effect from 1st July 2022. The adverse impacts of littered single-use plastic items on both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems, including in marine environment, are globally recognized. Addressing pollution due to single-use plastic items has become an important environmental challenge confronting all countries. The success of the ban will only be possible through effective engagement and concerted actions by all the stakeholders and enthusiastic public participation. Banning of single-use item is one thing. Being in the business of paper and paperboard, we should also look around for opportunities. and yet keep in focus the prime objective of protection of environment. A week from now, we shall be celebrating Paper Day on August 1st, an initiative which was spearheaded by FPTA. This initiative is to promote paper and project the true and correct picture and attributes before the government and public. It is also to prevent greenwashing. FPTA seeks the support and cooperation of all stakeholders in making the event a grand success. With this, I would like to hand it back to Venkat to carry forward the proceedings and look forward to a very lively and interactive session, mutually beneficial to all. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for that warm welcome. I just would like to pass on some information to all our audience out here. We deem it a great privilege, first of all, to have Mr. Ved Krishna with us. Just for the information of all our participants, he is joining from the US, where it is past midnight. And when our president reached out to him, I understand he said that it would be his pleasure to interact with the members of FPTA. We thank you for your love and affection, sir. To all the audience, whatever questions you would like to pose to our speakers, we request you to type out your questions in the Q&A box, and you can also mention to whom you would like to address the question to. First, we will have Mr. Ved Krishna to speak, and this will be followed by the Q&A session in which the questions to Mr. Ved Krishna alone will be addressed. Post addressing the question answer session, Mr. Ved Krishna would like to retire because it will be close to 2 a.m. After this, it will be followed by the presentation of Mr. P.N. Sridhar and Dr. Ashok Kumar, after which we will have the question answer session, which will be addressed to both the speakers. I thought I will just keep the audience informed about the sequence so that there is more clarity, and questions for Mr. Ved Krishna can start coming in right away. With these words, I would request Mr. Ashish Bandi to introduce our first speaker for this webinar.
Thank you, Venkat. Good morning, everyone. Our speaker on opportunities for molded fiber products is having vast experience in molded fiber products, substitution of flexible packaging, and usage of biopolymers. He is a lead innovator of Yash Pakka. Mr. Ved Krishna, Strategy Head, Yash Pakka. He grew up in Ayodhya, schooling from Dehradun and University at London. After that, pursued advanced management from ISB and MS in biomimicry from Arizona State University. He is the strategic lead for Yash Pakka, a company focused on innovating, producing, and spreading compostable packaging solution in the food carry service and packaging space. The Pakka Group is involved in the spheres of innovations through pakkaimpact.com, production through yashpakka.com, products are chuck.in, technology gcahub.com, and investments pakka.com. All these ventures are leading towards their singular purpose of better packaging alternates. Mr. Ved is currently engaged in global expansion for the group. Most important of all, Mr. Ved has been working tirelessly towards a singular objective of contributing towards a cleaner planet. His interest includes adventure sports, reading, travel, and spending time with family. We are delighted to have such a dignitary here to guide us. Over to you, Mr. Ved.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Deepak, Venkatji, and Ashish, all three of you. It's always an honor to interact with FPTA. I think FPTA is such a wonderful organization, and you guys really keep it active, which is always wonderful to see. So thank you for having me. It's an absolute honor. I'll just have a short presentation. I'll more or less, I'm sort of not sticking to the task you had given me, which is only molded fiber, but because we are involved in a couple of other areas, so I thought I'll take a wider perspective on what we are doing as an organization and how that aligns with the idea of better biomaterials overall. So I'm just going to share my screen and hopefully you guys can see it. And we'll just go through it quickly. And then I'm very happy to have questions. And in a way, I'm not feeling sleepy at all, which is wonderful. So I hope you can all see my screen. Just 1 second. Sorry. Okay. So the name of our company used to be Yesh Papers, and it's called Yesh Pakka. The idea of calling it Yesh Pakka was because we were moving slowly into the domain of packaging, and ka in Egyptian language is soul. So the basic idea was, how do we provide better and better packaging as we go forward? So the basic idea is that the only way we can create real impact is through scaling. Till we don't, the size of the challenge is so large in terms of the amount of non-renewables that are there, that if we don't scale, then we are making good noise, but the real impact is minimal. So the idea for us as a company is also, how do we scale our operations? So we have a dream, and it goes way beyond the idea of a plastic ban. It is great to have a plastic ban because it definitely gives impetus to what we are doing. But the overall idea is that how do we leave a cleaner planet behind us for our future generations? As far as, sometimes people say we are earth warriors or we are saving the planet. I think that's a misnomer. Because I don't think as humankind we can save the planet. We can only save ourselves, because the planet will actually flourish if we all go away. If the humankind is not there, then the planet will actually be happier. So, but we are actually trying to service ourselves, which is the humankind. That is what we are looking at overall. But how do we do that? How do we leave behind a cleaner planet? So the basic idea for us as an organization is that of regenerative packaging, sustainable packaging, or sustainability. Because when you say sustainability, you are saying कि, as use a few words in Hindi, कि हम यथास्थिति maintain करेंगे. Sustainability का मतलब होता है कि अभी जैसा है वैसा हम maintain करेंगे, but that's not good enough. If we look at nature around us, everything is regenerating. It is upcycling. Anything that dies becomes food for the next life. So basically, that's the idea. Not just our products should be regenerative, but our processes, and that's where the struggle is. In the end, if you make a very, very good product, a very regenerative product, but you use a lot of means for making that, even then we haven't achieved our aim. So the focus for us as a company is that how do we continue to ideally give back more than we take, and also create products that will be beneficial in the future. So this is just, I think most of us are aware, but what motivates us is that if we look at the kind of waste that is generated in terms of packaging compared to other sectors, you can literally combine all the others and you'll find packaging to be almost the same quantity. So of course, we want to look at that, and almost 77% of that waste is single use. What does single use mean? Single use is fundamentally taken as, on average, it is only used for about 12 minutes, which is amazing that, we use a product for 12 minutes, we can eat out of a plate, we can, rip open a potato chip bag or carry home some groceries, and it is going to be thrown away after that 12 to 15 minute usage. And it's not going to go away for minimum of 500 years. And the upper level is unknown if you look at multi-layered packaging. From a business perspective, it's a huge market. What we focus on as a company is the food packaging and the food service market. So if you look at the size, we are looking at upwards of 500 billion in the coming years. It's already over 400 billion now. So it's a significant size. And this is what we as a company are focusing on from both those perspectives of value creation, as well as for our core objective of a cleaner planet. So these are the three products lines that we are building, and some are already built. The first has been a sort of, I would say it's been a struggle for almost 10 years, numerous failures, right from 2012 onwards. We've been looking at creating better flexible packaging products. Finally, we are at the stage where we are going to launch our products commercially. We actually showcased it in PaperX. Now we have some trial orders that we are actually producing now, and they are going to be commercialized. We are already expanding our facility in Ayodhya, and they're going to be commercialized within the next year and a half. The second is that of food carry, which has been our traditional business, which is through utilizing our paper for bags. But ultimately, we also realized that paper has its limitations. So we've created a new substrate. Again, it was displayed at PaperX. I hope some of you saw it. But now we are commercializing it. It's a mineral and bioplastic blend, which basically creates a pellet. The same pellet can be used in extrusion machines that was being used, that were using plasticizers before. The third one is what I was asked to actually speak about. It's our compostable molded pulp, molded fiber-based materials. We have a brand called Chuck, which is sort of gaining momentum. It's been a tough 5 years for us to learn the technology, to be able to implement it, to let it get adapted into the market. And now, of course, I'm sure most of you would see our products almost all over the country. And of course, there is a huge strategic plan behind it, which I'll also inform you about. So our focus remains very sharp and clear that it's the food market. And the second part, so the first part is compostable packaging for the food market. And the second part is that we only know a singular fiber, which is sugarcane. That's all we have done in the last 40 years. And that's what we are going to focus on, at least for the next 4 to 5 years. And those are, our innovations remain focused on those two ideas: use sugarcane and create these 3 substrates. So if we look at the flexible packaging that is available presently, most of us use it in terms of potato chip bags, soap wrappers, anything that's multi-layered will not go away for 100,000 years. Non-recyclable, not compostable, a big ecological hazard. The government also doesn't have the courage to do much about it. Also, we all know that it's a much bigger hazard than a simple plastic bag. What we have done now is basically created a very, very dense sheet of paper, 2 substrates, mostly a release or a MG release or a grease-proof kind of grade. We've gone for nanometallization. A lot of work has gone into that. And how do you metallize straight onto paper has been a big challenge. We are close to making that work. And of course, we've worked with numerous biofilm substrates through extrusion, through lamination. And we've created the first offering that is being launched now with certain global players. And we are going to keep improving on this. And of course, it is recyclable, compostable, renewable, cost-effective. Again, cost has been a big thing. We actually cracked the code even about 8 years back or 7 years back, but the cost was almost 3 times. And of course, there were no takers. The second is that of a food carry solution, where the biggest product right now is a simple poly kind of bag, polyethylene bag. Again, we all know the hassles with it, so I will not go into it. What we've done is taken our waste calcium carbonate and blended it with bioplastics and created pellets, which we are able to now use on the same flow film machines as they were being as plasticizers were being used. And again, it is recyclable, compostable, renewable. Again, we are trying to match the cost of a plastic bag instead of saying that it's a biomaterial and hence it has to be more costly. So that's something that we are trying to avoid. Our aim is always to try and match the cost. This is something I think all of you are familiar with. It's a very, very interesting space globally, not just in India. Here, our focus is to build very interesting designs. It is a very modular structure that we have created. It is mainly to replace styrofoam or thermocol or polystyrene, whatever you want to call it. It's been an amazing journey, great learning experience in these products. Now what we are focused on is building large-scale pulping, which I'm going to talk about, and not producing these products ourselves. And this is where I'm going to request all of you to help us. We want partnerships where we provide pulp. Other partners come into the business and produce this material, and we even offtake the material if that is something that the partner wants. Otherwise, we are very happy to supply the pulp as well. And of course, our focus remains that on bagasse pulp. So the question is, how do we do this? How do we scale and how do we build these products? So this is the broad outline of what we do. We take sugarcane bagasse, we remove the pith. The pith goes mainly into fuel right now. We are working on numerous substrates from pith as well. And I'm sure in the next couple of years, our teams will come out with some very interesting substrates from that product. We make pulp. We create two kinds of products from pulp, a molded fiber and specialized paper. The specialized paper is converted into a compostable, flexible packaging material. The chemicals that go into the recovery create sludge. Instead of taking it to a lime kiln, we are creating mineral pellets, which will be converted to mineral bags. So that's the code that we have created. And why I'm sharing this with you is because the same will be applied in multiple sites that we are working on now. So this is our broad plan. We are expanding our Ayodhya site actually not to 200, but 225 tons now of bagasse pulp. Currently, we produce about 150, out of which we will move more and more into flexible packaging. That will be our biggest aim, and because we feel that's the biggest challenge we face as humankind. We will come out with mineral bag pellet. We will also have a lot of market pulp / molded products. I'm just now sitting in a country called Colombia because there's a lot of sugarcane here. I'm going tomorrow to Ecuador, day after in 3 days to Peru. I've been in Guatemala. So we are just exploring all around the world where we can get a good business atmosphere and where we can create the next site, which we are looking to create at least 400 tons per day of bagasse pulp. Similar structure as what I mentioned before in terms of the plant that we are going to create. And the idea is that by 2028, we need to build site 3. Again, the work has already started on that as well. So we have a team looking at the current expansion at Ayodhya. We have a team looking at site 2. We also have one person looking at site 3 in another 3 years. So, the search is on. We know that the time is less and we need to do more and more. So that's the idea. So my last slide now, and I obviously wanted to take advantage of this forum because it's not often that we get to meet, and you guys come with so much market knowledge and so much richness in experience that I wanted to take advantage of it. And I just thought I'll give a few ideas where we could partner, and hopefully, we can start having more conversations so that, our journey is more enabled by you, and we can hopefully build strong relationships with each other. So the first area, like I mentioned, is that we want to outsource the molded fiber products. We want other people to come into the business. We want to significantly scale this. And we have cracked over the last 5 years, lots and lots of mistakes. We feel we've cracked the technology and the backend chemistry. And we will provide the pulp. And then we will also offer product offtake. So we would request some of you to get into manufacturing of this. The second is, of course, this is what the paper traders are about. Help us. We are going to come out with numerous specialized solutions. We're going to need a lot of help in being able to crack difficult relationships and partnerships in the complicated world of FMCG. And I know that many of you will have stronger relationships than us, and we would request you to work with us so that we can spread the know-how and develop better solutions. Of course, we are a listed company. Like you saw, we are growing significantly. The idea is that within the next 8 years, we want to grow from 50 million to about 1 billion, which is a 20x growth. We will need a lot of wind beneath our wings. Secondary market, primary markets, wherever if you think, find us worthy, I would say keep investing in us so that we can keep doing the work that we are trying to do. We've also, like it was mentioned right in the beginning, we are trying to do more and more for the industry. One of the ways which we feel we can do it is through technology. So I would request all of you to check out gcahub.com. Where we have created a platform. Anybody who wants to come into the compostable packaging business will have solutions. So if you want to look for machinery, if you want to look for funding, if you want to look for innovations, the platform provides you with that. So the platform is still in the infancy stage. I would request you to connect to that amazing team that we have created And I know that they'll be able to provide more and more solutions to you. They are a bright bunch of, Ashokji was mentioning earlier that we need more and more youngsters. And we are somehow finding that we are really blessed. And Ashokji is right. The talent is totally different. This is a team of really young people. I think the average age will be 25 or something. And they've created a wonderful platform. With this, another thing that I haven't mentioned in my slides, but I'll request you to do, is to check out a podcast that we do called the Good Garbage Podcast. This talks a lot about all the compostable packaging solutions. I get to meet amazing people from all across the world who are doing amazing work in this space. And it's good to broaden our horizons. So every 2 weeks, I get to launch a new podcast. Of course, I get to record one almost every podcast on any sort of forum. It could be Apple or Spotify or any of the Indian podcast forums as well. We've also decided that we are going to not just help ourselves through our innovations, because we ended up creating an amazing team again. So we have now opened it up. We want to work with all of you. If you have any ideas, we have an amazing team sitting out of Bangalore. Again, most of them are PhDs, but from all across the world, but sitting in Bangalore. Just starting to work from the IISc campus, they've just talked about a 10,000 square foot area where they're setting up a state-of-the-art lab. And it's not just a pulp and paper lab, it's actually an entire compostable packaging lab, which includes bioplastics and it includes biodegradation. It includes numerous features, and it is an amazing team. So I would request you to support them by giving or seeing what projects you want to do or testing that you want to get done. I can 100% assure you that you'll be hearing much more from them, because there's a bunch of hungry people who want to do more and more for the planet. With that, very similar to what Ashokji was talking about earlier, I think it is a time where sustainability, compostable packaging, renewable resources are the vogue. We can get the next generation excited and increase our talent pool, because that will be the main ingredient for success. So that's mostly what we are doing. I thank you again for giving me this opportunity. I hope I've remained in time. I've not checked the clock, but I'm very happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vedji. There are thankful for the beautiful insight for the new world with paper and pulp. We know you are looking forward for the questions on packaging first, but would like to let you throw light on what are the current and future trend of molded pulp products in the Indian market. We all know the usage of molded pulp products in the food segment. What are the other usages for this product and its market size?
Difficult to say the market size. The way I talk about it to our team is that there are 1.4 billion people in the country. They typically eat 3 meals a day. So the actual size of the market is 4.2 billion a day. And you can multiply it by 365 days. Most days people will eat 3 meals, anybody. So anybody who's eating a meal is a customer, and beyond that, because there is also people who are delivering the food. So it's a huge market and it's a huge space. I think it's unlimited, I would say. And we are looking at it globally now. Of course, India, there is still a lot to be done. We are just coming out, just started production finally after 6 months of struggle 3 days back for our delivery containers, which we've been showcasing. But it's been a struggle to be able to produce it. We are doing it on a partner site, actually, not in our own site. And it's a beautiful product. So delivery itself will be a huge market. As far as the other usages go, again, unlimited. Much of the electronic packaging, if you see all these Apple boxes also, they are all molded fiber. Numerous other, a lot of people approach us from the FMCG segments. Our focus is singular. We only want to work with food, at least for the next 5 years. So we don't actually look beyond that market. As soon as somebody says non-food, we say, there are better people than us, and we would introduce them even to people who are doing work in that segment.
Okay, so the paper is the most recycled material in the world. Can molded fiber products be recycled? And if yes, what is the current collection mechanism in place in India?
Yes, of course, it's paper pulp, so it can be recycled. But a lot of it is actually with food. So food gets soaked in. So you just have to have a much better washing cycle. The collection method is the same. In fact, it was very interesting. I was at a roadside place in Lucknow, and the person only uses our material. And I was saying, and he was throwing it all in one dustbin. And I asked him, what is it? How is he going to compost it? He said, I don't need to compost it. By the time I'm back in the morning, somebody has taken it for recycling to supplying to some paper mill. So that's the beauty of India, that if there is economic value, somebody will come in and do the job. So that's the good thing. Economic value needs to be there.
One of the audience have requested to know whether you are using the sugarcane waste or you are buying the fresh sugarcane.
No, totally the waste. Just the what is remainder from the sugar mills. We try and convince them not to burn it. That is our mission. Don't burn the sugarcane because it's sugar bagasse, because it's not a great fuel. At least don't burn it to supply to the grid. So we try and pay them higher than what they get from electricity, and then take their bagasse offtake. And also, it's our focus for the future. We are working with numerous fibers, right from soy hull to hyacinth and various other fibers, sorghum in our labs. And our focus is to always go for post-industry products, because it's a lot easier to collect. There's a lot of it, and we need to find ways to get solutions in.
One of the audience also required to know, what is your experience with pulp from other Indian agri-waste other than bagasse?
I personally don't have so much experience. We've used a lot of wheat straw in the past. We just love bagasse. So it's kind of a difficult choice, because we've used wheat straw under compulsion. Some of the properties are even better at times, like burst. But the challenge with wheat straw is the huge silica content. It'll corrode your pumps. It'll create hassles in the evaporator. It'll create hassles in the recovery boiler. So personally, we stay away. We just go with folded hands to sugar mills and say, please let us have your bagasse. And thankfully, they have been helping us. So it's a good relationship that we've had in the past. So we are basically staying away. And in the next 5 years, like I said, I'm traveling all over the world, just trying to find singular objective, find bagasse.
One of the question has come up regarding the techno-commercial aspect, like how competitive India is or would be in the molded tableware against China and Eastern Europe, although India is very competitive in paper bag and paper cup market.
Very interesting question. So thank you for that. It's a very interesting situation. China is always more competitive, and I'm surprised how many times, but it's basically economies of scale. Even us, who produce probably the highest amount of molded fiber in the country, we have installed capacity of about 18 to 20 tons. We produce about 10 tons only. That's all we produce, and that's over 1 million pieces a day. So 10 lakh pieces a day. From about 10 tons of material. But China, we have factories which are producing 200 and 300 tons per day. So that's the huge difference. And that's where we have to go. So our target for the next 3 years is 300 tons for molded fiber. So that's it's a growth of almost 30x. So that's the idea. But the only way we can do it is through partnerships. We know that we can't install that kind of capacity. We can't manage that kind of capacity. We are working with numerous global players now, where they are asking us for materials, but we are literally on the back foot because we don't have the capacity to be able to do it. So all we are trying to do is produce more pulp, then supply that pulp to a partner, get the partner to produce, and then we offtake that. But coming back to the question, China is always difficult to figure out, in terms of costing. I don't know how they do it, because sometimes they're buying pulp from Thailand even, but they are still cheaper. Even when we export, China probably ends up being a little bit better than us.
So is there any chemical coating, like it is about the molded product you have been speaking now, but the people in the audience are asking for the paper plate scenario also. Like, is there any chemical aqua coating alternative to PE, which can be used and which can be 100% biodegradable or home compostable?
I think, Aditya, you are a better person to answer that question, but I'll with my limited understanding, you are far better at this, but with my very limited understanding, we are working with numerous substrates, and there's substrates coming out every day, literally. What Aditya has taught me, PBS, PBAT, products like that, we are experimenting with a lot of them. On the molded fiber, of course, we do no coating, it's all internal chemistry. And we are looking at numerous other internal chemistry improvements continuously again. On the paper side, we are, like I said, the biggest excitement in our organization is that of flexible packaging. And there we've experimented with at least, Aditya, I would say 10 different substrates
Yes.
with you, and, so
Yes,
I think
sure.
different substrates, but close to at least 10 successful trials of alternates. But of course, commercially, what is viable and what we can do, we've closed in on about 3 that we are working with, and they are all around the PBS, PHA, PBAT kind of products.
So the packaging is among the high growth industries in India and developing at a pace of 25% per annum. It was valued at $50.5 billion in 2019 and expected to reach $204.81 billion by 2025, registering a CAGR of 26.7%. So the lamination with paper offers sustainable solution to the packaging, like gutka packaging substrate. Film was successfully replaced with paper and foil laminate. Which is the next application that you think can give a breakthrough in this flexible packaging world, translating into big volumes, on which paper trade should channelize their energy?
So I can just share what we are working on. We are working very closely with some global, all under NDA, so I can't mention the names, but some global giants on mainly around the shampoo sachets. So that's one that we are doing commercial runs now for them. So that's a very interesting domain, because it's that 2 rupees shampoo that will get thrown away. So it's very painful for us to see. And hence that's been something that we've been working on closely. The other one we are working on is nut packaging. Because
this question, right? Yeah.
Sorry, somebody's unmuted. But okay, so basically the nut packaging area, because it is a little bit of a higher value proposition. Potato chips is a little bit more cheaper packaging, so they definitely don't want to shift easily. So I would say anything that can give a higher value where packaging cost is not that much of a material. So those are the things we are looking at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Over to Venkat.
Sir, we have many more questions, but then I think we are running out of time. Just a few pointers from your speech, sir, which actually, amazed me, I should say. One is that you said saving the planet is a misnomer. It's a fashion statement today to go and say that I'm doing this and I'm saving the planet. But you very rightly pointed out it's a misnomer, and you say that, the planet is much better without all of us. So it means that, you're not saving the planet, but you're saving yourself. I think that's a great takeaway, sir, from your speech. And I think we need millions of Ved Krishna to make this planet a better place to live in, sir. We salute you for your passion and your commitment. And I think you will have a large fan following from this audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You.
And I would just like to say that, I would love to connect and get more ideas. That's what it's about. So LinkedIn is the right forum. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Any thoughts that you have, if you had any more questions that weren't answered today, please do connect. Very happy to be of any assistance we can. And I look forward to more partnerships in this amazing August forum of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You not only gave us a brilliant speech, but also you've given us a lot of business opportunities. I think people are already writing to you on that.
Perfect. Love it. makes my night wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And we'll be too glad if you can stay with us for the rest of the program. But then if you are a little tired, I think you can also retire for the day, sir.
I'll stay for a little while and then see how much I last. Please, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And now it's over to Ashish Bandi to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, sir. Now, to enlighten us on opportunities for paper boards, we have with us a well-known name in paper board industry, Mr. P. N. Sridhar. DGM Sustainable Production Packaging ITC Limited PSPD, who probably do not need any introduction in our fraternity, as we have had his expertise many times. But still, for all others, Mr. Sridhar, an alumni of the Indian Institute of Packaging, has been in the field of marketing packaging materials for nearly 3 decades. He is now in charge of the sustainable production packaging portfolio of the paperboards and specialty papers division of ITC. His vision is to develop and deploy paper-based solutions that can replace single-use plastics. Mr. Sridhar has been in the forefront of promoting the usage of credibly certified papers and paperboards and in creating awareness about the eco-friendliness of the paper. His vision is to see all print and packaging firms create a positive ecological footprint. We are grateful to have such a dignitary here to enlighten us. Mr. P. N. Sridhar.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible. And that was an excellent start to the entire program. The presentation from Mr. Ved Krishna kind of tells us what is it that we can achieve, on mostly on the innovation side, and also what we can do with paperboard itself. Let me start by sharing my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay. While Mr. Ved Krishna told us, gave us some amount of future vision, some amount of crystal ball gazing, and also what is it that Yash Papers or Pakka, as they now call themselves, are they going to do? Very interesting, very exciting ventures that they're getting into. What I'm going to do in my presentation is kind of completely bring you back to the present and kind of take you through what is going to impact us over the next 12 months, right? So usually, we will have fancy slides and PowerPoint graphics. I have studiously avoided that because this is going to be like a classroom session. So I would request you to probably pick up your pen and paper and note down, because that is what is required today. So let me quickly go into my presentation. Venkat, is the screen fully visible now?
Yeah, it is visible, Sridhar. You can proceed. It's perfect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's look at some basics, which is going to be the important definitions. And this is entirely going to be from the plastic waste management rules, which has been the driver which has kind of brought us today for today's program. And what has happened in that is there are two key components which have been added. The major one is the extended producer responsibility rule, which kind of affects all of us in the packaging field. Although it refers predominantly to plastic waste, I will try and connect it to how it's going to be having an impact on us too. So let's look at what is the definition of PWMs, biodegradable plastics. Previously, we've had multiple people talking about these two terms, biodegradable and compostable. But now we have one reference point to go with, because this is what the regulator, the people who are going to implement the regulation, which is all our pollution control boards, all of them are going to go by this definition. So here it simply means biodegradable plastics are those which are other than compostable plastics, which undergoes a complete degradation by biological process under ambient environment. And then they have also identified an initial IS standard on which it is going to be determined, which is IS 17899. And any institute which is affiliated to BIS or even CPET is authorized to do the test. So if any one of us is going to claim our packaging to be biodegradable, then it is better to go and get it tested with 17899 and also get it certified by the Central Pollution Control Board. You actually need to register. So the manufacturer, the converter of the product, and the dealer, all three have to register with CPCB to show proof that they are now dealing in a biodegradable material. Why am I talking about brand owner? Simply it says anybody who sells a commodity under a registered brand name, brand label or trademark. Some of you have created small brands for yourself, especially probably in the paper category, which is today being packed in a plastic material. Therefore, I'm including you also as a brand owner so that to see what is it that you will have to do if you've got some product like this. Importer, almost every person in the FPTA would be having some means of import. Look at the definition here. Importer means a person who imports plastic packaging product or products with plastic packaging or carry bags or multi-layered packaging or plastic sheets or like. So if your product which is being imported comes with plastic packaging, then we have to register under the importer category. And finally, to clarify doubts on what do you mean by plastic? People often argue with me that this is plastic, which means a polymer is also plastic, which means a naturally occurring polymer is also a plastic. Well, all these arguments can be had across a cup of tea. It's very interesting. But now there is a very clear law and we have to abide by this law. And it says plastic means material which contains an essential ingredient, a high polymer, such as polyethylene terephthalate, which is PET, like what you have in your water bottles. High density polyethylene, vinyl or low density polyethylene, LDPE, all of us are aware. Polypropylene, HDPE, polypropylene is what is for rigid packaging which is being used. Typical cans are made out of it today. Polystyrene resins. So this entire polystyrene resin is what is there in, used to be there in the disposable plates, cups and containers category. Plastic cups used to be made out of a product called high impact polystyrene, and plates used to be made out of thermocol or expanded polystyrene as we call it, and multi-materials like acrylonitrile, butadiene, styrene, polyethylene and all that. So this is what biodegradable means, and there is a brand owner and an importer, and of course what is plastic material. Now plastic packaging means material which is made by using this kind of a plastic, right, and used to store and transport products in a variety of ways. Now who's a producer? Almost all of us who is engaged in the manufacture or import of carry bags or multi-layered plastic or plastic sheets or like. And the coverage of the EPR, the following, just to clarify, the EPR is already implemented. It has started off with, what are we put out in the market in 2021 and 2022. And the targets for large brand owners or brand companies like us has already begun, right? So we have category 1, which is rigid plastic packaging. Category 2, flexible plastic packaging, where it is single layer or multi-layer, all layers being plastic. Category 3 is multi-layer plastic packaging, where at least one layer is plastic and the other layer can be either paper or aluminum, right? Which is this category 3. And category 4, which is for compostable plastics, is what is the one that's going to be of interest to us as an entire pulp and paper trade industry itself, right? I'll cover that when I come to those sections. So this is a very busy slide. You may not be able to read it or understand it. So I'll just give you a snapshot of it. Producer, importer, brand owner, and plastic waste processor. All of us have been brought under this extended producer responsibility rights, which means if amongst FPTA, if you are an importer or a brand owner, you immediately fall under this. And we have to go and register ourselves with a centrally created digital portal of CPCB. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. Plastic waste processing is also emerging as a very big business opportunity area. And we will have to be registered if you are a PWP, as a law calls us, right? And then what have they done? They have given reporting and targets where the previous 2 years, whatever plastic we have put out into the market needs to be reported by the brands, needs to be reported by a producer or an importer. And then we have been set collection and recycling targets, which ranges from 50% in 24-25 up to 80% in 27-28. They are also making it even more stringent. From 25-26, category 1, 2, and 3 kinds of plastics must also contain certain quantum of recycled plastic content in it, right? So it's becoming increasingly difficult. And then going forward, for all rigid plastics, they are now insisting on a reuse target, right? So that's the roadmap for all of us for the next 5 years as defined by the plastic waste management rules, which has now subsumed the extended producer responsibility rules also. Previously, there were two separate things. Now EPR has been brought under PWM, right? What's going to happen after 2 years? Either if we have done our work correctly, we will have some additional credits to our case, which we can use to set off any shortfall we had in the target in the previous year, or we are allowed to sell it, right? So what will happen is over the next 2 to 3 years, as the credits start improving, the government will start creating a market, right, for trading of these green certificates, as I would call them, but then the government calls them environmental compensation or recycling certificates. So if we are not taking care of all the plastic packaging which goes out into the market, we would start getting penalized. So there is a huge cost involved, one, in collection and recycling. There's going to be a cost involved in reusing. There's going to be a cost involved in ensuring that recycled plastic is used in the packaging material. Now, therefore, why is it of importance to an FPTA audience, right? Before I go into this, some of our plastic substitution grades, this entire process is important because many would be out of plastics completely, where they cannot appoint a public, a responsible organization to collect and recycle and declare those numbers to the government. Many would like to be looking at alternatives to plastics across the packaging spectrum. You heard Mr. Ved Krishna talking about flexible packaging, which is going to be on paper. We also looked at what can happen with multi-fiber products for rigid products. And here we have already started working as far as paper boards are concerned on certain applications where we have removed the LDPE. Let's look at the top two, which is your antifungal cyber and green stiffener. Typically, these are brands which were using paper board plus an LDPE lamination, right? And this was done to prevent any fungal growth. Now we have removed LDPE film from both inside and outside the carton, and we have incorporated property amongst the fiber itself, giving us an antifungal cyber, which is a soap carton. A popular brand picture has been given there. And then there are green stiffeners, which is for the flexible packaging kind of soaps, right? We also have Filoserve, which is coated with a barrier, which is an oil and grease resistant barrier, which is used for quick serving restaurants and servings. Typically, Filopack, which is a greater barrier. If Filoserve is around 10 to 12, Filopack is somewhere between 14 to 16, and that's used for the applications that you can see there picturized. We're soon launching Filotub, which is for popcorns and larger buckets kind of an operation. And the Omega series is the compostable one. Now, the Omega Bio and Omega series being compostable, it is no longer enough to simply print compostable or claim. What happens is, once we get the CPET certificate and register ourselves with CPCB, CPCB gives us a QR code which can be printed by the printer who's converting this board into a finished goods. And that QR code, when it is being checked by a pollution control board officer, takes him to the CPCB website, thereby giving him the certificate number and the registration number as given by CPCB to the producer. So the material supplier, the producer, all of us have to get ourselves registered, and then only we will be able to carry this QR code. I've got some examples of what we have done with laminating paper. And of course, most of you will be aware about Filobev, which is our cup stock. And of course, we are into these e-commerce bags where we are shifted completely from plastic to a paper-based substrate. Okay, so what is going to be the impact, right? So we are looking at some great expectations as far as the this body is concerned. The first is our customers will now expect us to be the custodians, right? And here I've used that at every level of the paper trade hierarchy in the second point. I mean that because we as large paper companies may not be present with every user who needs an alternative to plastic. You could have somebody making a small snack in a particular city and serving it only within the city. That could be his market. You could have someone who's making a small brand which is sold only in, let us say, one state or two adjoining states. These are all the people who will be reaching out to the paper trade and asking, look, I have this kind of a packaging and I want an alternative. Is there something available? So we would be the first point of contact. The FPTA members would be the first point of contact. So we will have to go back to our books and become thorough as far as the plastic waste management rules are concerned and the EPR is concerned. So the first expectation is going to be knowledge, right, on the part of the FPTA traders. The second, at every level, there are going to be packaging managers. And I can tell you that their approach has now changed. In the past, if you approach any purchase manager or packaging manager in a company where they're using packaging material, the first question they'll ask you is how much does it cost? Is it cheaper than what I'm currently buying? And then slowly they shifted to, is it good enough for my product? Does it give all the adequate protection that is required? Today, they have done a complete 180-degree turn. The first point of contact, the first question that they ask us is, what is its end of life disposal, right? So packaging materials are now slowly, the design for packaging materials itself is changing from suitability and cost to end of life disposal, what happens to it? Because the regulation has brought in a huge cost on that side also. And slowly they want to change the whole thing and say, now we are giving out packaging, which is completely collected and not with just a recyclable claim. In the past, you could say my packaging is recyclable and leave it at that. Today, if you have to make that, you have to put money where our mouth is. We have to go collect that packaging, get it recycled, get that certified, and prove to the government that we have actually collected it and recycled, right? So that's how the packaging manager's role has changed. So from these, again, there are going to be many questions that they may start asking you that the next time you go and talk to one of your customers. There's a sharp jump in the number of manufacturers of paper sticks, paper bags, straws, paper cups. This has already come into play. Although most of the big brands went to the government and sought a postponement of the July 1st ban, especially for paper straws attached to Tetra Pak or juice boxes, the government did not relent. It showed the kind of seriousness that the government was taking this up with. And this is where we feel that the next set of immediate opportunity could be on paper sticks, bags, straws, and paper cups, of course, right? We also foresee some of the traditional roles getting mixed, for example, where traders will become converters and you will start putting up small plants for manufacturing some of the emerging paper-based applications, right? So this is what we think is slowly going to happen to the FPTA itself. To the extent a few years down the line, I foresee a completely different role for a paper trader, but I will come to that during my conclusions. Delivered by the paper trader will change drastically, and new skills to seek commensurate compensation for the value has to be built. Okay, so now we are going to be in the learning stage. In the next 2 to 3 years, I think we will have to take a complete relook at our business. That we are no longer just trading. It's just not delivering a few reams of paper from point A to point B and collecting a small trade margin. It's going to be doing a lot more greater things. So this is how I would like to conclude by saying that we are not traders any longer, but we are value creators, right? Now, where does that value come from and how much of money is being left on the table is up to us based on how willing are we to go back to the drawing board and relearn our own business based on the new regulations which are coming and the regulations which are creating impact. And I have spoken to you only about regulations in India so far, which is going to affect us in the next 12 months. But if you start your journey down this road, the whole world is our market, right? So with that, I come to the last slide in my presentation. Thank you very much. And I hope this has been of use to you. Back to the organizers.
Yeah, Aditya ji, I think you can take over. I'm sorry, it is now the turn of our Ashish Bandi to introduce our next speaker. Before he introduces the speaker, Sridhar, let me say that, your clarity of thought and your clarity of presentation is something superlative. I've always appreciated and, I've always wanted to communicate as well as you do. Thank you for sparing your time. And I think you've given us an in-depth knowledge about the plastic waste management rules as well as the extended producer responsibility. And it is very important that, first we are all aware of it so that we can take the message forward to the customers. Thank you so much, Sridhar, and over to Ashish Bandina.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The speaker on paper is a well qualified and having rich experience in paper technology, Dr. Ashok Kumar, Executive Director, Padamji Paper Products Limited. Dr. Ashok Kumar did BE and ME Chemical Engineering from IIT Roorkee and PG Diploma course in Pulp and Paper from University of Trondheim, Norway. After that, he did PhD in the field of pulp processing from University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. His attachment to academics and research took him to Institute of Paper Technology, Saharanpur, which is a department of IIT Roorkee, where he started his career as faculty. He was associated with IPT for 16 years, during which he also served as head of the institute for 3 years. After this exhaustive experience in academics and research, he joined paper industry and was associated with Star Paper Mills Limited, Saharanpur, and Ballarpur Paper Industries Limited for 10 years each. He worked as head of built Sabah Forest Industry, Malaysia for 2.5 years, and as president with Khanna Paper Mills, Amritsar for 2 years. Dr. Ashok Kumar is associated with Padamji Paper Products Limited since 2015 till date as executive director and also is on board of the company. During his vast professional career of more than 4 decades, he has been closely associated with several government bodies, committees, institutions, and other agencies related to pulp and paper field in country and abroad. He has also headed Indian Pulp and Paper Technical Association, IPPTA, as president. I would also like to mention here that Dr. Ashok Kumar has been instrumental in conducting educational course on paper technology for our fellow paper traders organized by FPTA jointly with IPT Saharanpur in 1993 for continuous 6 years under his kind guidance. This was an initiative of Shri V.C. Parikji and Shri Satyapalji Gupta from FPTA. We are honored to have such a dignitary today who will keep us engaged with the mesmerizing speech for next 12 to 15 minutes. Over to you, sir, Dr. Ashok Kumar.
Thank you, Ashish. Aditya, I think you can share the screen, right?
Yes, I believe your people are being able to see that.
Okay, so what I'll do is first 3-4 slides I'll go over quickly because number of people already know about it, and then I'll have something to present on and what paper can do. Now, one thing that people have been asking us in paper industry, and some people keep on talking about this ban. Did it come all of a sudden? I don't think so. Since last many years. And I remember as far back as 2010, we have been discussing this issue, and it was almost close to, in 2015, that we were expecting that this single-use plastic ban will be there. But, something happened, and as you know, in our country, some bans come, and then there are lobbying by different interest groups, and, things don't take the shape. But very recently, when the government became serious and the present Prime Minister in the 4th UN Environment Assembly, India itself piloted a resolution and sent, requested the global community to take a focus on this. And very recently, in 5th session, Assembly of March, in March 2022, India, discussed and engaged with all members to develop a consensus on this. Accordingly, MOEF and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notified the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules. And as you all are aware that from 1st July 2022, there is a ban on single-use plastics. Next, Aditya. And these are the items, we all are aware of it now, so I'll not spend much time, but you can see on left side, there are all items which are banned as single-use plastic items. And this ban is there everywhere, which is to be followed. So the point that I want to make it didn't come all of a sudden. If we are, somehow talking about it now that we should get more time and all that, I do not know. The government is pretty serious on this ban, which is good for, I think, ecology and environment. So it is going to stay there probably, to my mind. Next page, please. Next slide, please. These are the items covered, which you are already aware. They are everywhere on the net. You can see carry bags. There is a EPR, which is very important. Everybody must understand, as Mr. Sridhar has already discussed in details. I think that's very important that we should understand what is our responsibility. There will be enforcement at national and state level. The control rooms will be set up. The special teams will be formed as per government notification. So this enforcement is going to be effective, and we should all be part of it. At the same time, the government is creating awareness. I think it should have been done a long time ago, because we have to prepare ourselves. We must prepare ourselves, which we have not done that much, instead of only talking. But I think there are now, if you see all over the country, there are awareness campaigns which are going on. And of course, as we know, the success will only depend how effectively we engage all stakeholders. All stakeholders have to be taken into confidence, and the public has to be enthusiastic about it. Next, Aditya. I did this just give you an idea, what is the SUP ban worldwide. There are some data there which are not so important. I think probably you can read it later. It gives some data about global plastic waste production, global production of primary plastic, etc., and what is it that is there in the country. The only last thing I would like to mention, Central Pollution Control Board in its report of 2015 mentions that major cities, it's only major cities, every day the plastic waste collection is about around 26,000 tons, where only 60% is recycled and 40% is left for disposal. If we consider that one truck carries about 10 tons of plastic in a compacted form, it will need from cities alone 1,000 trucks per day to transport this waste. That is the magnitude that we should understand, irrespective of the business we are involved in, whether it is paper or plastic or as a common citizen. So that is a serious matter. Next, Aditya. Yeah, this is, when we talk about that we are having a ban, there are some countries which already have very strict bans. Country like Rwanda, I think the plastic bag ban is one of the strictest one. These are some of the countries. I think I had seen about 1920 very, very strict ban on single-use plastics. So we are not different, and we should be a part of it. We have to be. There's no choice. Next, please. Now, the question that everybody asks, what is the opportunity for paper industry? Mr. Ved Krishna has already explained about molded fibers and other related paper products. I can say there is a huge opportunity. Think of the amount of plastics in million tons being used for the single-use plastic products. If you convert to them to paper-based as a substrate, if not all, you can think of any percentage of that. Maybe there are other materials available. The opportunity is huge. I can't put the numbers because there is no report which has summarized all single-use plastic items if they are replaced by paper. But there is a big opportunity, and all kind of papers can be used, which you must have seen even for cup manufacturing. There is a scope for craft papers, sack craft papers, even map lithos and MG posters. You can have, there will be a great use of paperboard of various types, whether they are coated, uncoated, C1S or C2S. Already, lot of material of cup stock is being used, grease-proof and glassine papers and titanium dioxide paper. So all mills have an opportunity to take advantage of this SUP ban. But remember, we have to manufacture the suitable quality of paper, which I will discuss later on, which is very important. You need tremendous efforts of R&D. It's not a simple sheet of paper that you manufacture and supply. It's not going to work like this. It will not be map litho copier paper or a poster paper that you as a paper trader just buy it from the mill and give it to somebody to convert it. It's not going to happen like that. We need a lot of R&D efforts to develop product. We need close interaction with the brand owners, converters, dealers, traders to develop solutions to replace SUP. So as I mentioned, it is going to be a difficult road ahead. Why do we have to ensure the right quality? Because right quality for a given application. This is a question of image building. If we are not providing the right solution, somebody will come and definitely will say that you don't have an alternative. This is what many plastic manufacturers are saying, that we don't have the viable alternative because we have not worked very hard to develop the alternative. We have to develop the alternatives, which is possible, and we have to work it together. And also one thing I would like to say, as paper-based solutions are going to be expensive, particularly in the beginning. Let's take it for granted. If somebody talks about something which is based on paper, in some areas, yes, they can be close to plastics, but in most areas, not. But why not? There is a cost of ecology and environment. I was reading, a balance sheet of one FMCG. They increased prices by 11% in 1 quarter without any packaging changes. If they can afford, and we can afford to increase the prices of FMCG products by 11%, can't we take a hit of half to 1% if it is a different kind of raw material? Are we not concerned about the cost of the ecology and environment? I think that is what we have to think. We have to change our thinking, that if by changing some sustainable packaging, some cost goes up. Let me tell you, we all understand, we are into the business. Anybody who uses sustainable packaging, there is a cost increase that will always be passed on to you and me, and the customers. That will always be done, but it's not that much. In the beginning, it will be, but going forward in next couple of years, things will become more competitive. There will be more players coming and making those kind of products. Paper industry will also think over about alternative paper grades or the grades which can be produced at an economic rate. So paper and product quality, as I said, is going to be the key. Some examples I have given in next 3 slides, the experience that we have. Next, Aditya, please. Look at, on left side, you see poor quality paper. On right side, you see some good quality paper. And these are the actual pictures that we have taken. On the left side, if they see the bottom one, I was just traveling last week in a flight, and I won't like to name them. Last 2 hours from that flight, which I took, and these are the exact samples from an airline. This side, left side, if you see, it's something where the bread was in contact with. It's a recycled paper which had a lot of dirt and specks, and it was directly without even any coating. That was the kind of, the wrapper served in the airline. On the side of that, and the bottom, there was a packaging in which a samosa was packed. And, it was all over my hand, the oil. That's what I purposely brought those things. So if we give this kind of a packaging, what would a customer say? That paper is not a good raw material, because we are not developing, we are not giving the right material. So it is the responsibility of converter and the trader and the paper manufacturers. Good quality papers are available. On right side, you can see these are some of the papers. It's not something that I'm advertising here. They are from our company, and they are from other companies as well, where there are right solution, right packaging products available for different kind of applications. So you can see on left side, recycled content, there was no grease proofness, unhygienic, may contain harmful contaminants. And on right side products, now they are much better. And if we give this kind of a products, I think we'll have a good image. Next page, please. On left side, you can see this poor quality. You can see, the oil seeping through. So if we don't give a paper with the right kit and with the right grease proofness, I think the customer will think paper is no good. So these are some of the examples I try to put it here. Next, please. You can see we produce some papers, and some other people in India also produce. You can poor quality paper on left side where there are oil stains. Paper gets transparent after baking, does not retain the flavor. And on the right side, you can see the right quality of paper. So the point that I would like to make it here, please ensure that the paper being used is of right quality, for which everybody has to be knowledgeable about. Next page, please. Now, some of the obvious questions, general, which came to my mind, I'm sure, I think all the participants will have those kind of questions and many more. some of the questions that I thought of, I haven't put here. Is the right quality of paper available in India? I said yes for most banned single-use plastics. But remember, paper industry makes base paper in reel or sheet form. We are not the converters. So customers, because many people talk to me and talk to many other people that we don't have the right products available. Same was the case for plastics. Plastic products are not available from those who make plastics. They are the converters in between, which convert those plastics either into laminates or single-use plastics. Same thing has to be there. So Mr. Sridhar was very right. We see paper traders in future. I think there is an opportunity for you to become a manufacturer. So there will be an interface between paper industry and the customers, which you can use the opportunity of. And these can be, small capacity operations in the beginning. Once you have an experience, you have the market base, you can develop it to the capacity for which the market is available. Is the right quality of product available in India to replace existing plastic-based solutions? Yes or no, both. It depends on the initiative taken by the paper industry, converter, brand owners. So, because I can say that we have been working with some customers and it takes a lot of time to develop even a single product. Who manufactures the final product like paper cups, plates, paper straws, etc.? Paper industry manufactures base paper, as I mentioned, because this is one of the raw materials. Even if you make a simple thing like a straw, you need a paper, you need adhesive, and you need a machine to make it. So paper industry can supply you paper, and I'm sure I am aware of it, that those kind of good quality papers in India are available. How much time it takes to develop the final product? It depends on the applications. I can tell you, we have been working with a multinational company for one single product for the last 2 years. It's not yet successful. So it takes time, but they are the products which are of higher value, which has got, barrier against oil and grease, barrier against oxygen, barrier against moisture, because they are not banned as a single-use plastic items today, but I think there will be time when there will be a talk of banning them as well. So we are preparing for that. Has the response of all stakeholders been knowing that the ban will be enforced? Yes. In the beginning, the people were not serious. Now they don't have a choice. So we have lost time, actually, if you ask me, both the paper industry as well as the traders and also those converters, because we thought that the ban may or may not be there. So the time has been lost, but some work has been done. In certain applications, I would say, if not for all. What needs to be done now? I have already mentioned that we have to get together, put in our best efforts to ensure that the right kind of paper is available to make a right kind of a product, so that these substitutes are available. Now we have to identify them and to develop those solutions which will be replacing all those SUP. Next, please, Aditya. Yeah, what are the opportunities for paper traders? I think Mr. Sridhar has outlined some of them. I would say great opportunity for all the banned SUP, but not simply as paper supplier. The market will evolve and grow much more than what we can think of at this point of time. However, as I mentioned, and Mr. Sridhar mentioned, that you'll have to put in a lot of efforts. Firstly, you have to be knowledgeable. That's what I said. When I meet the paper traders, particularly from younger generation, no offense to older people like us, they are all knowledgeable. They have a lot of experience, but the youngsters are quite aware of regulations and certification. So you have to stay alert and updated. You should also know the critical parameters for specific applications. Ask from the manufacturers, from the industry. This is the application for this paper. What are the critical parameters which we need to discuss with other customers? You have to have close interaction with paper manufacturers to understand application, usage of paper, and what value it can deliver. And you have to disseminate this right information to the paper converters who are manufacturing this final product. Engage with the brand owners, or if there are no brand owners, you are selling the products, and also paper mills on a regular basis, because this needs to a lot of efforts to develop the right product. also engage with the customers to explore solutions for replacing SUP. And remember, as I mentioned again, just to repeat, that these solutions in the beginning are going to be expensive. I say the final product. I'm not saying about paper. If you are selling a cup stock at a given price, I mean, that's going to be the same. So they are no different from the normal papers the paper industry was manufacturing. There is no extra money, I think, to my mind, paper industry charging for the base paper. It is the same as like map litho copier paper. The final product will become expensive. Final converted product will become expensive. Next slide, please. Yeah, I'll just give an example. You see a simple thing of paper storage as manufacturing. As per my experience, typically constructed of 3 plies, 120 plus 60 plus 120 GSM paper. These 3 plies are bonded together. Alternatively, we can use hot melt adhesives for very fast production lines. Choice of a paper and adhesive, they will have a fundamental impact on the efficiency of manufacture and the straw performance. Good quality paper straws suitable for any application need paper supplier and adhesive manufacturer to work closely together. So even if a simple thing like a paper straw, you have to work closely together. You have to have a right adhesive. You have to have a right paper. Otherwise, you will not develop a quality straw. You can have a straw for the sake of, drinking something from a cup. But if you want that your straw should not be soggy, it should not unravel when immersed in water or other liquids, you have to have a right quality of paper and a right quality of adhesive and a right machine to make that straw. So this example is just to show you even a simple thing like a straw, which may look like, okay, just available like that. It's not like this. It takes efforts, but paper is available to make paper straws in this country, as much paper as you want. Actually, we sometimes think and people go to the government that the alternatives are not there because we have not worked for it. Right quality of paper is available from many manufacturers in this country. The only thing we have to have the marriage of this paper with the adhesive and put a right product. Most of you know about the paper cups manufacturing. It's also not that simple an operation. You have to have a reel, you have to do the flexo printing, and you have to have a printed paper. It goes to a roll cutting machine. You make cup fans, right? These banks that you call it. And then it goes to the paper cup making machines. You make paper cups, you pack it, and then the cup goes into bag. Even secondary packaging is important here. So far, because it was cheaper, secondary packaging to pack paper cups is plastic. That can also be changed. That should be changed. That has to be changed now. So this is something that I have explained here. And this is only a single wall cup. Cups come in different sizes and shapes. The cups for coffee that you must see in some of the multinational brands, they are very different. Double wall or triple wall, and they different have insulation also. Next, Aditya. So, what is the future of packaging? I think my two panelists before have already explained. It has to be eco-friendly, sustainable packaging solution. It's not about that I am talking from the paper industry point of view. It has to be for our generations to come, what we are going to leave to them. Are we leaving them the kind of ocean and the rivers and the drains that we see? And the sustainability by everybody should be demonstrated at each and every step. You just can't talk about it. It has to be demonstrated. Just by saying that I'm using, there has been talks, if you see about from the paper industry side, oh, well, I'm using agricultural residues, so I'm eco-friendly. I'm using ECF paper, I'm eco-friendly. I'm using bagasse, I'm eco-friendly. Just by using a raw material, you don't become eco-friendly. It has to be at each and every step. As I think Ved very rightly said, it has to be process driven. All our processes have to be like that so that we make paper or we manufacture that raw material, and our all operations are sustainable, including things which are covered under EPR. I think that was the last slide. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok Kumar. You very rightly said change in perception from cost to concern on environment is the key thing. And you also gave us a lot of confidence saying that cost is no longer going to be a barrier. It is only our patience and persistence which is going to take some time, and eventually this is going to happen. Thank you for that enlightening speech, Dr. Ashok Kumar. Over to Aditya ji. Please start the Q&A session.
Yeah. The first question goes to Mr. Sridhar. Various state government enacted the law on waste management, and there is no clarity on the usage of PE coated paper cups. So does the new notification by central government on 1st of July give clarity in this regard?
I did expect that question to come up. There have been, see the CPCB rule or the plastic waste management rule, that is very clear, right? So there have been some interpretations by different state governments and different state government pollution control boards on that. We are studying all this. We are also on the same page as you people are. This has just come out sometime last week. We are studying it, and once we have a response, we will definitely keep our fraternity informed.
Okay. Another question to you, Mr. Sridhar, that what is the current volume of paper or paperboard that is serving disposable industry or SUP segment? How the volume is defined for laminates meant for packaging like paper with PE, paper with bioplastics, paper with water-based coating?
Okay. A difficult question to answer, because he has asked for entire market of disposables. That's a bit difficult. But across various forums, it has been discussed that almost close to 400,000 tons per annum of current paper usage itself, paperboard usage itself for replacing these single-use plastics. That is where it is. As far as PE laminated or compostable grades are concerned, you would have seen that the EPR is very clear. If it is going to be a quantum of plastic which is laminated to paper, it falls under category 3. That quantum of plastic which is there has to be declared by the brand owner, which means you and I will also have to declare it to the brand owner, and they are responsible in collecting it and recycling it. So the lesser and lesser quantum of plastic which is there in a paper plastic laminate, it is easier for the brand to adopt it, because they're only putting out lesser plastic. Almost all of them have commitments on plastic reduction or elimination. I think it'll all begin with reduction and probably over the next decade go towards elimination. So you will have lower and lower plastic is better, and it should also be recyclable in conventional mechanisms, which means wherever our paper is being collected and recycled today, like your paper bags, you have old newspapers, you have notebooks, files, books being collected, and there is already a value chain which exists, that it goes back to a paper mill. These grades which are being developed must also be recyclable, and it has to go back. So if you look at most of our series, they are all in this recyclable in conventional mechanisms, like the Philo series. That's what you have to look at.
And what about the coated chemical one, like the water-based coatings?
No, it will again depend on what is the quantum of plastic that is being used in it, and there is also one more area where we need to be, we have to check with the government and then get back. But the rule is clear that if it's a mix, then it falls under category 3, or if it's compostable, then it falls under category 4. So if we are talking about water-based coatings on paper or paperboard, and if you are claiming it to be compostable, then that material has to be certified by CPET. IS 17088 is what the government now recognizes, and the producer, the converter, the trader, all three of us have to register with the CPCB and give a quarterly purchase of raw material and sale data has to be put in. So please, I would suggest all of you, the minute this meeting is over, open the CPCB portal. Only the registration is now on. Go ahead and register yourself if you're not registered, because all the brands have been told that they cannot deal with a non-registered entity. We have now been given the rule that we can deal only with a registered entity. So that is where it is. So let's get the mechanics right. Let's get the rules and whatever are the policies right. And then meanwhile we are talking, we will get back to us what are the changes there.
My next question is to Dr. Ashok Kumar. Paper seems to be the best option for the straw application. How safe do you think adhesive and printing ink are that goes along with the making of paper straw? Is there a code available to test the safety aspect of paper straw? And the second part to this question that has come up, also these alternatives like straw or earbud sticks, which are not collectible, may result in loss of fiber. How is the industry viewing fiber deficiency going to occur because of it?
See, it's a good question about the paper straws. I think I had mentioned it in my presentation. Not only paper, but adhesive. Both have to be compatible with food grade. And there are test standards which can be used to ensure that the paper, because what should happen? Any substrate should not interfere with food grade items. When I say this, straws, when it is immersed in liquid, it should not interfere with that liquid in any manner. Even in case of adhesives, if you see and if you search the net, there are adhesives available to you. They will say and certify that this is for food grade applications. So be very sure, and those kind of papers are available. That's what I said. Just don't go to any Tom, Dick and Harry and buy the paper and use it. Ask for the certification. And those certificates are available. There are labs which are certified, can give you that kind of a food grade. And that's why I think we should ensure that when we are giving, as I said, the kind of that product, we should be, fairly satisfied that we are giving a right solution. So yes, they are available. Now coming to this fiber, the fiber loss, we have to see how much it is, if it is not collected. Earbud sticks, etc., are difficult to collect, and I think they will go. So we have to take it like that, depending upon the quantity that fiber loss will be there, it will be there. So things which can be collectible, at least responsible citizens can put it at a place where it can be collected. But yes, small earbuds and that are difficult. So that kind of a fiber loss will be there.
Okay. The other question that has come up, that we have been keep discussing on PE coated cup stock, but a lot of gray areas have come up from SUP ban for paper laminates. Other than paper with PE for paper cup, do you see the impact coming over the usage of Tetra Pak, copier wrapper, sachet with paper with PE, and other disposables?
Aditya, see, let's be very honest and transparent since we are discussing these things on this forum. You had asked this question, Mr. Sridhar. He tried to, I think, answer it, but let me tell you. If you see Rajasthan Pollution Control Board notification, or if you see Maharashtra government, they have banned these cups with PE line. Right? Now, one way is you look at the business, but at the same time, on one hand, we are saying that we should do this plastic ban, and at the same time, you can't see that you allow these cups with PE lining. I think sooner or later, to my mind, I think there will be a ban on these items also. Now the question is, you had asked, are those, see, the problem is 2 years ago, there was a ban on PE lined items and we had developed paper as a soap wrapper, right? There was a lot of seriousness, but because of COVID, these things took a backseat. We had developed paper and some of other competitors in the country, and they can develop it. So what I'm saying is, if not for 100% application, you have to start somewhere. There are certain applications where the paper has to be coated with certain chemicals, and of course, those chemicals also has to be food grade and environmentally compatible. There are chemicals available. I think as Ved Krishna has asked you, or also in that business, we have developed certain products in our company which are suitable for certain applications. So we have not done enough work, as I already said, in last 2-3 years. But paper-based solutions for paper cups are available, if not for all the applications, for many applications. And we have to, sweat it out to develop the right product. Brand owner, paper industry manufacturers, traders, and converters. If not, then I think we will have no moral ground to say that you ban these cups with PE line. We have to develop, and this is possible to do it. I am pretty sure it can be.
Thank you, sir. I'll, due to the paucity of time, I request all the participants who are sending the question and answer, we will be directing them to the respective speakers and get back to you with the answers for that. Over to you, Venkat. Venkat, you are on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Aditya ji. As he very rightly pointed out, there are numerous questions in the Q&A session, but we are already running behind schedule. So I think we will take the relevant questions offline, and all those participants who are interested in connecting with the speakers, you can get in touch with our secretariat. We'll share the email IDs of the speakers, and you may correspond to them. And I'm sure that they will be giving you very purposeful and valid answers. Thank you, gentlemen. It has been customary that, in all the FPTA webinars, we conduct an opinion poll. So though we are running behind schedule, we thought we'll have a very small opinion poll. And for that, I hand over the proceedings to Mr. Hiren Karya.
Good evening, everybody. I think everybody had a very good Sunday morning today, listening to all the experts. And I think a lot of good takeaways from this. So yeah, as our custom, let's start the poll, and I'm just launching it right now, and it will be in the screen right now. So please answer. There are 3 small questions. We will stop it in some time, and then we'll declare the results. People can start voting now.
Hiren, I suggest you read the question also.
Yeah, okay. The first one is, in a populous country like India, do you think a total ban on single-use plastic is possible? Yes or no? Second one is, the most effective and eco-friendly alternative for single-use plastic will be paper, cloth, glass, or metal. And the last one, the third one is, do you think Indian paper industry can build the required capacity, quality, standard that may be required to substitute the ban of single-use plastic? Yes, maybe, no. So yeah, people have started voting, and we'll give them a minute so that we can just take their opinion and then stop the poll. So we will stop in the next 10 seconds now. Thank you. I'm sharing the results, and the results are in front of you. So in the first question, we have a 62% yes. In a populous country like India, do you think total ban of single-use plastic is possible? So people are yes, 62% say yes. The most effective and eco-friendly alternative for single-use plastic will be 94% paper, because majority of you are a paper trader. And do you think Indian paper industry can build the required capacity, quality, standard? So yes, 55% say yes, 38% maybe, and 7% no. So thank you, audience, and over to you, Venkat sir.
Thank you, Hiren. I think we are ending this webinar with a very positive note, which is all positive for paper, I should say. Thank you, and over to our secretary, Bhavesh Galar, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It was a nice, provoking, thoughtful knowledge from all our panelists and speakers. As per Mr. Sridhar and other speakers like Dr. Ashok Kumar and Mr. Ved Prakash, we should be a value creator in future. And we are at the tip of the iceberg. If we just replace the plastic industry with 1%, then we are into a very big industry right now. So we should be in this thing. We thank our speakers, Dr. Ashok Kumar ji, PN Sridhar ji, and Mr. Ved Prakash ji for giving us a nice insights of the how to replace for the single-use plastic. And we thank all our attendees, and we thank everyone and our President Deepak Mittal ji. Before we end the note, I have, if any queries or any suggestions, you can write to us to our email ID, and we can forward all our questions to respective speakers. One more, we are brand ambassadors for the paper industry and paper trade. So we are celebrating Paper Day on 1st August. FPTA is celebrating, and we request you to celebrate and be a brand ambassador of paper by celebrating Paper Day and besting the myths of paper. We will forward all of them with all the valuable insights of the paper, how paper is good, green, then the other in products. We thank you, and any queries or anything, we can come back to us by email or by phone. We thank you. Over to you, Venkatji.
Thank you, Bhavesh, and we look forward to similar cooperation and encouragement from all the audience for all our upcoming webinars. Thank you and have a nice Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you all FTA.
Thank you.